It was the game week of how not to follow a bandwagon with Wolves defence, and how many players did you have flagged? Spoiler, I had a few. Hi guys, I'm Nymfria and welcome back to the home of FPL videos. So, bit of a mad game week for players missing out through rotation, illness and injury. So let's take a look at how I got on in game week 5 before looking ahead to my team selection for game week 6. Sanchez seemed to be on for a clean sheet before Vardy decided to have a party, and then Sanchez thought it would be fun to waste some time and grab himself a yellow card for 1 whole point towards my team total. Dude, we talked about this last week. It's 2 points or 6 points. Nothing less. That's the deal. Moving on to my defence, I decided to jump on the Wolves defensive bandwagon at the very worst time it seems. I sold Soufal for Semedo using my 1 free transfer. I went with Semedo because people seemed to think he was the most nailed. I was keener on Marcel. I'd have 1 more point and a bit more money in the bank if I'd gone that route. Still, Semedo's stats were pretty decent. He did get a shot away in the box against Brentford. However, it wasn't enough and he added the same amount of points to my game week points as Sanchez did. Pretty pitiful. Talking of pitiful, I'll just say Shaw and Ayling were both as bad as each other. And right now, I'm not keen on keeping either of them, especially as Ayling's injury looks pretty bad anyhow. We'll have to wait and see how many game weeks he's out before deciding what to do with him. Moving back to Trent, he missed out because of a dodgy tummy and not ideal, but it did mean I got an unexpected 5 points off of the bench from Livramento. Can't complain with that. In midfield, where my defence let me down, my midfield, on the other hand, was more positive than not this game week. Salah, as my captain and everyone else's, got a whopping 24 points. He deserved it though for his 6 shots, 5 shots on target, 1 goal and 1 assist. Amazing stats. Could have got a little more if not for getting a little overexcited and showing off his chest, but just this once I'm not complaining. Getting King Mo. There was some stress after the deadline as to whether Rafinha would start. Thankfully he did, because finally he got me another return, something I've been waiting for since game week 2. Was it a cross? To be honest, I don't mind. I'll take the 8 points either way. Jota, don't be doing this to me, man. 3 shots in the box and an attempted assist for just 3 points. I'm not angry with you, Jota. Not angry. Just disappointed. Just very, very disappointed. And in a turn up for the books, though, for the first time ever, I'm not very disappointed in Benrahma. Another player that we thought may miss out from news after the deadline. And again, thankfully he played. And yet again, like Rafinha, potentially a bit of a lucky goal here from a deflection. I'm not sure how it ended up being deserving of 3 bonus points, but I'll take them and run during a game week like this. Greenwood got his first blank for me with just 2 points, 3 shots and 1 on target with 1 attempted assist though. He still tried really hard for me. I just worry how long he gets now. His stats are there, but if he doesn't return, Ollie will look to rotate him. Come on, Greenwood lad, I've enjoyed owning you. I'm not ready to say goodbye just yet. And lastly, there was only 1 forward leading my line this week, what with me holding onto Antonio with his red card and benching him. In his absence, Ronaldo did his thing as my sole striker. 8 shots, 8 in the box and 5 on target. A little unlucky to come away from all of that with only 1 goal, but points were points this game week and 6 were better than none. Happy to be an owner, and I'm struggling to see how I drop this guy currently during the fixture turn. Wow, it's going to be difficult. So with all of that, I got 64 points, another tiny green arrow. To be honest, I was staring down the barrel of potentially only having 10 men this game week. So to get to my target of 60 points and get a green arrow is more than I could have ever wished for under the circumstances. I'm currently sat at 133,610th in overall rankings. But for me this week, my 3 top scorers were sizzling Salah with 24 points, banging Benrahma with 10 points, and razzle dazzle Rafinha with his 8 points. points. Moving on to Game Week 6, and this is how I'm currently lining up. There's a few flags here which isn't ideal, but I love the look of this team, so pressers are going to be key this week. I think Klopp has already said that midweek comes too soon for Trent after his tummy upset, but that should mean he's okay for us in FPL for the weekend, so fingers crossed on that. Although Klopp did also say that Bobby could be back for the weekend, so that potentially screams of a rest for Jota, and that is bad times for me. Not sure if to play Semedo or Livramento after last week. Either one of them could be an option. I just kind of feel like the one time that I actually play Livramento, he'll do nothing, so not really sure. At the moment I'm playing Semedo, but a lot will depend on how the week pans out, to be honest, with my particular team selection. If I can roll this week, I may just do that. I've always worked towards a Game Week 7 wildcard, but if Rafinha and Trent are okay, I feel really happy keeping this team this game week and potentially rolling for 2 free transfers in that Game Week 7. Who knows, it could mean I don't have to wildcard next week. Use those 2 free transfers to shift out Salah against Manchester City. I know selling Salah is like, don't do that. But, he is against Manchester City, and it means I can get Lukaku in Game Week 7 for the start of his tasty fixture run, leaving me with around 5.5 million for a midfielder, which would leave my team looking a little like this for Game Week 7. Then wildcard in Game Week 8 to get Salah back and potentially moving Ronaldo on for his bad run of fixtures. I'm not great at hopping on and off of premiums, but in this case, unless I'm going to wildcard Ronaldo and Lukaku in on the all-out attack team, then I'm going to have to get used to it. Because unless I'm going to try and squeeze them in and have some really cheap people around them, like lots of people have done successfully so far, then I'm going to have to be very comfortable jumping off and on the right people at the right times. I'm just going to have to keep my eyes on prices. If I don't roll this week and Ayling turns out to be fit, I quite like the idea of Shaw to Rudiger, which looks a little like this. But potentially a week too early with Rudiger having Man City. It would mean I'd be buying him ahead of the curve to place him on my bench, ready for that Game Week 7 run of decent fixtures. Just means that any price rises or price falls, I already have him in my team ready to attack those good fixtures. But if it turns out that Rafinha happens to be out, I quite like the idea of Rafinha to Gray for the Norwich fixture, which looks a little something like this. Sarr could also be a shout with Newcastle up next. If I use the transfer this week, I will likely be committing myself to a wildcard in Game Week 7 because I will definitely want some Chelsea players ahead of that Game Week 7 run. So just to summarise, my 3 options are to use one of my transfers now and get in a Chelsea player ahead of the curve, to roll a transfer and potentially do a little mini wildcard next week to get in Chelsea players, which I either wildcard out of the other side or maybe take some minus points so that I can hold on to my wildcard a little longer. Or lastly, take a punt on somebody like Gray this week and then wildcard ahead of Game Week 7. I'm sorry that doesn't really help you guys with nailing down my team selection, but I really like my team for the moment, so if I can hold, I will. Captaincy is on Ronaldo at the moment for his home fixture, but after last week, Mo could be a shout yet again. And lastly, moving on to my trending transfers this week. Using Fantasy Football Fixed data, I'll delve into the trending transfers ahead of next game week so you can see who's likely to rise and drop in price, as well as gauging the bandwagons at the time of recording this, which is Monday evening. So let's take a look at the players in and out ahead of game week 6. Of the goalkeepers, Alisson is the trendiest goalkeeper in ahead of Game Week 6 with 48 plus 1,000 purchases. Schmeichel is still the next trendiest with 36 plus 1,000 buys. Pickford's injury sees him as the most transferred out goalkeeper with over 73,000 sales. Next highest out this week is Mendy, also because of injury, with 42 plus 1,000 managers selling on the Chelsea man who's been superb so far this season. Of the defenders, Trent is leading the way for sales out this week despite him only having a minor illness, with over 104,000 managers jumping off of the Liverpool man. Laporte is the second most transferred out due to his muscle injury with 84,000+ sales. Alonso's the trendiest defender in after his assist against Spurs with 115,000+ purchases. Duffy is the second highest defender in with over 100,000 purchases. In midfield, Sarr is the trendiest midfielder in with over 169,000+ purchases for the Watford man. Benrahma is challenging him though as the next trendiest in this game week with around 168,000 buys. Torres is the most switched out midfielder this week with over 152,000+ sales. Bruno Fernandes is the second trendiest midfielder out with 106,000+ FPL managers moving on the United midfielder. Up front, the injured Richarlison is the trendiest forward out so far this week with 200,000+ managers moving on the Everton forward. Ings is still the second most transferred out forward with over 95,000 sales. Antonio is the trendiest forward in this week with over 205,000 buys already. Ronaldo is the second trendiest forward bought ahead of Game Week 6 after 3 goals in 3 games with over 201,000 purchases. And that's it you guys, thanks for watching. Please check out my sponsors of this video, fantasyfootballfix.com, and yet again, if you'd like to help me reach 7k, please do like, share and hit that notification bell and subscribe for more FPL videos. Until next time, Nymfria out.